They don't shut things down with sirens. They don't announce collapse. They just make normal life slightly harder. The road still looks the same. The traffic lights still work. Your car still starts. But one day, without drama, you realize you're asking permission to move. Not from a soldier. Not from a warlord. From a system that smiles while it denies you. This isn't about engines or fuel. It's about whether your vehicle obeys you, or something else. Every collapse starts the same way. Not with riots, not with fire, but with paperwork, forms, updates, policies. The lights stay on, the shelves stay stocked, the cities stay calm, and quietly, systems begin identifying capabilities that don't fit anymore. Not criminals, not rebels, capabilities. Because systems don't fear anger, they fear independence. There's a myth that preppers get targeted because they look extreme. That's wrong. Prepared people don't get targeted. Independent systems do. And your car, whether you realize it or not, is one of the most dangerous tools you own. Not because it's fast, not because it's armored, but because it decides where you can go when permission disappears. This is the Prepper Blacklist. Not written down, not announced, but enforced through friction, inconvenience, and safety. Technology. Number 1. Vehicles that don't need authorization at first glance. It looks harmless. A car that starts without a network. A system that doesn't check in. No remote shutdown. No dependency on live permissions. Old? Outdated? Unsafe? That's how it's framed. But here's the problem. From a systems perspective, a vehicle that doesn't ask permission can't be paused. It doesn't care about restricted zones. It doesn't receive updates. It doesn't freeze during temporary measures. So what happens? Nothing dramatic. Instead, insurance becomes harder. Regulations get updated. Inspections quietly fail more often. Replacement parts become non-compliant. Not banned, just inconvenient. Because systems don't need to stop you. They just need to slow you until you give up voluntarily. History repeats this pattern every time. Horse ownership, shortwave radios, unregistered tools. First, concern. Then, inconvenience. Then, disappearance. Technology. Number 2. Fuel independence. Fuel is never just fuel. It's leverage. The moment your vehicle depends on a single supply chain, it becomes predictable. Predictable routes, predictable stops, predictable behavior. Systems love predictability. What they don't like is optionality. A vehicle that can operate outside centralized refueling creates uncertainty, and uncertainty is expensive. So fuel independence is never attacked directly. Instead, it's reframed. Environmental impact, storage safety, community risk. All reasonable words, all comforting, until one day storage limits change, transport rules shift, documentation is required, and suddenly you're explaining yourself for wanting mobility. Here's the psychological trick. People surrender independence not because they're forced, but because responsibility gets uncomfortable. It's easier to rely, easier to comply, easier to wait, and systems count on that. Technology. Number 3. Mechanical overrides. This is the one nobody talks about because it's invisible. A mechanical override isn't flashy. It doesn't look tactical. It doesn't scare anyone. It just works, even when software doesn't. From a systems view, this is unacceptable because software can be updated, remotely controlled, disabled. Mechanical systems can't. They require presence, effort, accountability. So mechanical simplicity gets labeled as unsafe, unregulated, outdated, non-certified. The language is never hostile. It's professional, concerned, responsible, and slowly mechanical agency disappears. Not because it failed, but because it couldn't be managed from a distance. Here's the part most people miss. These technologies aren't restricted during chaos. They're restricted during calm.